Welcome back, viewers at home. You're joining in on a very important, impactful conversation that is really speaking about how we on the ground can form, or rather be part of this beautiful campaign that is taking place all around, making sure that Israel is suspended from being part of FIFA. How we do it, how we go about it, stay tuned for this. For this, I am joined by two leaders of the Good Shepherd Collective, which is based in Bethlehem. And tonight I am talking to Cody O'Rourke, as well as Bana Zuluf, who join us to talk about, the upcoming campaign by Week for Palestine 2025 campaign. And this campaign, as I mentioned earlier on, is calling for the suspension of Israeli teams from FIFA as a sign of protest against Israel's oppression of the Palestinian people. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for inviting us.
Thank you. Now, just to get the conversation going, for viewers at home, we believe that this campaign particularly is based on the theme of Red Card Israel theme. And we know when playing soccer or any sport in that sense, a red card has a meaning to it. So can you just give an insight to our viewers at home on the significance of this theme and how it really relates to the goal of the initiative itself?
Absolutely. Rightly as you said, the red card Israel is very symbolic. We give red card in sports, usually for members that break rules. Israel has broken lots of rules in international law. We're very aware of that. But they've also broken rules of humanity when they decided to colonize Palestine since 1948. We have 240 Palestinians who are members of the sports team who have been killed and murdered since October 2023. We would like to obviously support and give them, provide this as this campaign for these people that have been murdered, but also for the communities in Palestine that believe that it's not just political boycotts that are important, but also cultural boycotts. This is one way that we can prove that cultural boycotts are also important. Every day in every aspect of our life, we need to commit to boycotts.
Now, for viewers at home or for individuals who are still trying to make sense of, what it means for Israel to not be part of the FIFA, as we saw with boycotts, when they were like, but then it's just food. Like, what would food, how would food impact the drive of maybe drawing the attention needed for Palestine? And we saw that, companies, profits plummeted, and I think this gave momentum to many people. But now viewers, I'm sure at home, are just struggling to understand, what does the suspension mean in terms of its impact on really, continuing to bring traction to finally getting that ceasefire and the justice for the people of Palestine? What does it actually mean? What are some of the impacts for it?
Well, suspension really means that the normalization and impunity of Zionism as an ideology, but also for Israel, is no longer existing. We need to make it so that Zionism is not normalized in our society. This is one way we are able to do that, with saying that in sports, in cultural events, in all of the spaces that we convene globally, that Zionism is not accepted. This is one way that we can prove that. Obviously, sports is a way that a lot of communities find themselves, in solidarity with each other. It builds hope, it builds peace, it builds justice. Zionism does not fit with that image. So suspension means that we reject Zionism's message of death, message of destruction, message of genocide, and also just the misery and oppression of the Palestinian people.
Mr. O'Rourke, just coming to you, I just want to get to understand the feel of, Good Shepherd Collective and just understanding the work that you do. And most importantly, what do you hope to get out of, engaging with South African communities with regards to the work that you do, and more so importantly, just putting the focus and pressure in ensuring that Palestinians are free in that sense?
Yeah, the Good Shepherd Collective is, based in Palestine. It's really a group of individuals and activists that were looking for a space to talk about a future that they wanted, and develop their own praxis in terms of achieving that. So, we're built kind of in a response to the ways that the NGO structure doesn't really meet the needs of the people. So, for us, like, we're able to talk about things around like decolonization, justice, land back, these sorts of things. So in terms of relating that to the communities here, it's about like, well, what does decolonization look like for all of us? What does it mean for justice to happen? What does that mean in material terms, like land back? What does reparations look like?
And just understanding the atmosphere around, engaging with some of those South African communities, what would you say has been some of the, moods around the conversation, seeing that it's quite a sensitive, it's quite a heavy conversation?
Well, I think one thing. Well, when we had first arrived, I mean, there was such an energy of from old people to young people just meeting us at the airport. Saying free, free Palestine. From the river to the sea. So you could tell that it was just something that was not only important to them, but important to them inside. Um, it was something really powerful. That it wasn't just a club. It was something that they were fully committed to a free Palestine. It was really amazing.
Amazing indeed. Now, just wrapping up our conversation, I'd like for you guys to share with our viewers, and myself included, in terms of your hope as well as aspiration for the impact, considering the hashtag week for Palestine's campaign around, the suspension of Israel.
We're very thankfully hosted by Africa for Palestine today and also for the whole week. The Week of Palestine is actually from the 1st to the 7th, and this Week of Palestine is mainly on this campaign, Red Card Israel. We're hoping that this campaign can bring a lot of people together, not just locally, but also globally. Our hopes is not just to meet the goals of this campaign. We think it's very important to go beyond. This is only the start. We believe statements are not enough, and we believe in action. We hope to obviously see the defeat of Zionism personally ourselves, but we hope to see that this is one way for us to normalize that imagination, that one day Zionism will be defeated and Palestine will be free.
Now, seeing that the conference is actually, or rather the press conference will be taking place, can you just share with viewers at home in terms of what to expect and how they can also, be part of this conversation and, contribute positively in ensuring that it gets the attention it needs and the traction that it really needs?
Sure, everyone can participate in various ways, and that's kind of what's so powerful about this campaign is that it allows individuals rather than state governments to implement their own vision of justice. So it can really be as simple as having conversations with your friends, being engaged on social media, any number of ways. Reach out to Africa for Palestine to see how you can get plugged in. There's lots of organizations in these different communities, so those are all great first steps for people to step into this space of solidarity.
Now, exciting part is that it's not only just Africa for Palestine, but there's also civil society, there's trade unions, and there's some political parties. Now, what can you share around the campaign itself in terms of maybe if you can share the details for viewers at home who are taking up the interest and want to be part of it, because I believe it's happening on the 30th of April?
Yes, we have a press conference and a demonstration as well. You see, we are actually doing this not just in this area. We're also flying all over South Africa as well to speak to different communities. Every community has their own goals of how they want to implement this campaign. The most important thing is to focus on the Red Card Israel, because the coming World Cup, is a symbolic way for us to prove to Palestinians that Palestine's always on the, it's always, being platformed. And in a way, the main focus here is to look at the smaller campaigns and how they can uplift this bigger campaign. This is a big campaign, but that doesn't mean it cancels all these smaller boycott campaigns. And I think that the use of this kind of coalition type of Africa for Palestine, political parties, trade unions, is very important and strategic.
Now, earlier on there was a conversation had with regards to, it's very important to engage with communities rather than coming and saying, this is a solution for the community, and seeing that, how Bethlehem is actually from Palestine. And, in South Africa, there's so many organizations who are trying to do everything and anything that will speak to the means of assisting Palestinian people and also just bringing about ease. As individuals who work closely with many communities and now seeing that you are in South Africa and we welcome you very beautifully here, is what words of motivation and encouragement would you share with some of these organizations, and any sense that you would like to share with them that will keep them, feeling quite encouraged to keep on going? Because, sometimes you feel like, as you're saying, you might think that demonstrations and, picketing is small, but then actually it's quite meaningful to, a fellow Palestinian having to tune in on social media or news and seeing that actually there are people who have us to their hearts and who are thinking about us.
Absolutely. I think it's important to just establish what solidarity is. We believe meaningful solidarity is not a charity. It's about, doing something from the heart. It's believing that you are bound up with the struggle with these people. You're not helping them. There's no sort of patronizing element. You're actually feeling that you're struggling the same. Their struggle is your struggle. I think this dynamic is very important. And I believe that a lot of the people that have struggled for Palestine, throughout the genocide, but also before that as well, and continue to make Palestine, the number one issue for them, whether politically, whether in their own communities, in schools, in trade unions, and in different political spaces. They've really warmed the hearts of Palestinians. We are aware of that, we see that, we appreciate that, and we encourage them and we urge them to keep going. I think a lot of Palestinians have during the genocide, unfortunately, felt alone because of the world and global powers and the states really forgetting about Palestinians. But the people have proven that they care about Palestinians. So I think we want to keep showing the world that yes, maybe some governments in the world may not be aligned with their own people, but this is about all of us. This is about the freedom and liberation of all of us.
I'm seeing Mr. Oruk is agreeing with you, and is there anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I think that sums it up. Is just reminding yourselves that Palestinians oftentimes do see what you're doing in our reading what you're advocating for. And it means a lot because Palestinians, understand what it's like to face, the systems of power and how much courage that takes to step up and demand from your government something better, to demand from your community leaders something better, even to demand from the people that you're co-organizing with that you deserve something better. It's powerful to see people do that on the outside.
Now, just to close off finally our conversation, because this is quite a delightful conversation, and it's something that is necessary just to keep, everyone aware and everyone sort of that fire filled or that fire still burning in them to say, you know what, we acknowledge their efforts and we also respect and honor their efforts, is that thing that we spoke about the, Red Card Israel, as well as saying we spoke about the, Good Shepherd Collective. What would be your parting shot considering our conversation tonight from the both of you?
I think it's very important to know that universally right now we're at a very important junction where solidarity is actually at a threat. There are a rise of certain forces that want to make solidarity, is kind of sideline solidarity and want to build up hate and build isolation and build xenophobia and Islamophobia and all of that. I think it's very important to reject those, but also fight against them. This is not just about Palestine. I think Palestine just is the lens that reveals all of these dynamics of capitalism, imperialism, colonialism. But right now, what we need to do as a community is to just realize that we're not just fighting for Palestine, we're fighting for ourselves as well. So the community, when they fight for their rights, whether it's social, whether it's political, economic rights, they're all important. Those are also in service of Palestine and Palestinians. So it's very important to understand that everybody here that is fighting for Palestine, they're fighting for their own dignity. So we are grateful for that, and we encourage them to keep going.
Mr. Oruk?
No, I think that those are all really important things that Bana had brought up, and I think that that's one of the key things is just keeping the hope alive, And I think that one of the things that happens in our organizing spaces is people confuse being hopeful for being naive. People will say I want a free Palestine. Well, what does that mean? And it makes you sound like you're being naive. Like when a Palestinian says, oh, I want my house back. I want my land back. I want reparations, Yeah. And people are being, oh, well, that's being naive. So there's a part of it where people aren't expressing what their hope is for being scared of being perceived as being naive. So there's a part of it where it's like we have to have the audacity to be hopeful. Just to say it's okay for me to want justice.
Wow. Now, viewers at home, that was such a very beautiful conversation, and thank you so much for joining us tonight and really shedding light to the beautiful work that you are partaking in South Africa and also beyond. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Viewers at home, that was quite a delightful conversation, a conversation that really keeps the hope going, because after all, being hopeful is not being, naive. It's actually having the courage and the ability to still believe that, you know what, justice will prevail and ceasefire will be something that we live to see. And also something that I'm taking away tonight is understanding that fighting for Palestinians is not only fighting for Palestinians, it's also fighting for ourselves in that. But viewers at home, that's where I'll close it off for now. Let's head over to an ad break. We'll see you just after that.